All right, let's dive into this New Zealand adventure you've been dreaming of. It looks like you've got a stack of research there, and you've even checked out podcasts like Travelerholics to get the inside scoop.
You're definitely on the right track with Travelerholics. They've got some solid advice.
But maybe feeling a little overwhelmed with all the possibilities. We've all been there, trust me.
Exactly. That's where we come in. Think of this deep dive as your personalized filter, sifting through all that info and helping you zero in on what truly resonates with you.
Exactly. We're here to help you distill all that amazing information into a plan you can actually use.
Because planning a trip should be just as fun as the trip itself.
Totally. So get ready to be transported to the land of breathtaking landscapes, thrilling adventures, and oh, the food. Just wait till we get to the food.
We're going to uncover all the magic of New Zealand, but with your personal spin on it.
Okay, first things first, the big decision. North Island, South Island, or both?
Classic dilemma.
Right. Travelerholics seems to be a fan of going all in, covering both islands in their 12-day complete New Zealand tour. It does sound pretty ambitious, though.
Ambitious, but totally doable. And I think what makes this itinerary so appealing is that it hits all the major highlights, giving you a taste of everything New Zealand has to offer.
Yeah. We're talking Auckland, Rotorua, Hobbiton, Queenstown, Milford Sound, even Mount Cook.
Talk about a bucket list itinerary, right? But what I find really clever about their approach is the strategic sequencing. They don't just throw you into the deep end, they ease you in.
Oh, I see what you mean. Starting in Auckland, this vibrant cosmopolitan city, then easing into the geothermal wonders and Maori culture of Rotorua, then bam, Hobbiton, pure magic.
It's like they're building the excitement with each stop, catering to different interests along the way. Brilliant, really.
I'm with you. Now, let's talk about Queenstown. Travelerholics calls it the adventure capital, but I think that might be selling it short.
Right. It's not just about the bungee jumping and skydiving,
Yeah.
although let's be honest, those are pretty epic draws. Queenstown has this raw, untamed energy. It's nestled amidst these stunning mountains. You can be whitewater rafting 1 minute, then sipping Pinot Noir with a view the next.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's like this incredible blend of adrenaline and serenity.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Queenstown offers a masterclass in the different ways we define adventure. For some, it's about pushing those physical limits. For others, it's about immersing in the landscape at a slower pace, maybe trying a new wine or tackling a scenic hike. It all comes down to what gets your heart racing.
I love that. So whether you're an adrenaline junkie or you prefer a slower pace, Queenstown has got you covered. Now, let's say you've had your fill of adventure for the day. Travelerholics promises some pretty amazing places to rest and recharge.
They do. From luxury lodges with epic views to charming boutique hotels nestled in the heart of town, they really emphasize having options for every budget and taste. And speaking of taste buds,
Oh yeah, get ready to be amazed because New Zealand's culinary scene is out of this world.
one thing that stands out from the Travelerholics episode is their focus on local recommendations for dining. They understand that food is more than just fuel. It's a way to connect with a culture. And New Zealand's culinary scene is all about fresh, local ingredients, innovative chefs, and a deep respect for tradition.
They highlighted some pretty mouth-watering dishes, too. Think succulent lamb dishes, fresh seafood pulled straight from the ocean, and if you're lucky, even a traditional Maori hangi feast.
Have you ever had a hangi?
I haven't. To be honest, I have no idea what it even is, but it sounds incredible.
Well, let's just say it involves cooking food underground using heated rocks. It's more than just a meal. It's a celebration, a communal experience that connects you to the land and the people. It's definitely something to add to your list.
Added to the list. Okay, we've got breathtaking landscapes, heart-stopping thrills, and mouth-watering food. But how do you actually get around and experience all this amazingness? Travelerholics seems to strike a good balance between organized tours and free time, which I think is key.
Absolutely. They include guided tours for the major attractions and transportation between cities, taking the stress out of logistics. But they also really emphasize that independent exploration is where the real magic happens. And they provide you with detailed maps, local tips, even suggested itineraries to help you get off the beaten track. It's all about striking that balance between structure and flexibility.
I love that. Now, before we get too carried away planning all the fun stuff, let's touch on some essential travel logistics. Travelerholics reminds us that you'll need a New Zealand ETA, that's an electronic travel authority. It's a pretty straightforward process and they can guide you through it, but it's definitely something to tick off your list early on.
Right. And while you're at it, start thinking about when you want to experience all of this. New Zealand has such diverse landscapes and climates, so the best time to visit really depends on what you're looking for. November to March is summer. perfect for soaking up the sun and enjoying all those outdoor activities. But if you're a snow bunny, June to August brings the magic of winter, transforming the landscape into a winter wonderland, perfect for skiing, snowboarding, and cozying up by a fireplace.
So are you picturing yourself hiking through lush forests under a bright summer sky or cozying up in a mountain lodge with snow falling outside? What kind of New Zealand experience are you craving?
That's the key question, isn't it? It's about aligning your travel style and preferences with the best season to bring those dreams to life.
And let's be real, we can't forget about the budget. Travelerholics says their 12-day complete New Zealand tour starts at $2,080,000 per person. Now, that might seem like a big number, but keep in mind it includes flights, accommodations, some meals, guided tours. It's a pretty comprehensive package.
Right. But it's always wise to factor in some extra spending money for those delicious meals we talked about, maybe a souvenir or two, and some extra activities.
Exactly. Because let's be honest, who can resist a little splurging when you're on an adventure of a lifetime?
And while that price tag might seem a little steep, think about the value you're getting. It's a curated experience, taking the hassle out of planning and logistics. Plus, they offer an EMI option, which means you can spread out the cost, making it more manageable.
That's a pretty sweet deal. So we've covered a lot of ground, from choosing the right island and the perfect time to visit, to thinking about your travel style and even budgeting.
But this is just the beginning. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll take you on a virtual tour of those incredible locations, uncovering hidden gems and local secrets that Travelerholics didn't even mention. Get ready for some serious wanderlust. All right, are you ready to dive into these amazing destinations you've got on your list?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited to get into the specifics. Let's start with Auckland, that city of sails. I know Travelerholics talked about the harbor and that iconic sky tower.
Definitely must-sees.
But what really caught my eye was the volcanic landscape. Over 50 volcanoes scattered throughout the region. That's wild.
It's pretty incredible, right? Like imagine hiking up a dormant crater for panoramic views or exploring ancient lava caves. It's this unique blend of urban sophistication and raw natural power.
Such a cool contrast. Okay, now on to Rotorua. This place seems like a sensory overload in the best possible way, with all that geothermal activity and Maori culture.
Oh, absolutely. Think bubbling mud pools, geysers erupting into the air.
And maybe even catching a traditional Maori performance.
You got it.
Yeah.
Rotorua is definitely a place that engages all your senses. And speaking of Maori culture, remember how Travelerholics mentioned a hangi feast?
Yeah, but they didn't really get into the detail.
Right. It's more than just a meal. It's a whole experience.
Yeah.
They dig a pit in the ground, heat up rocks, and then slowly cook food in baskets for hours.
Underground.
Underground. It's amazing. And it's often accompanied by storytelling, traditional songs. It's about connecting with the history and traditions of the Maori people.
Wow, that sounds so special. Definitely adding that to my list.
Good call. Okay, next up, we got to talk about Hobbiton. I know you're a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Huge. Just thinking about it makes me giddy.
It's pretty amazing how a movie set has become such a phenomenon. But beyond the film connection, Hobbiton gives you a glimpse into the real New Zealand countryside. Those rolling green hills, charming villages, it's like stepping into a fairy tale.
It sounds magical. Okay, from one iconic landscape to another, let's head south to Queenstown. We talked about the adventure activities,
The bungee jumping, the skydiving.
all that. But I'm curious about those more relaxed options too.
But one thing that makes Queenstown so special is how accessible its surrounding nature is. You could literally hop off a gondola and find yourself hiking amidst breathtaking scenery.
Sounds incredible.
And if you're a wine enthusiast, the nearby Gibson Valley is calling your name world-class Pinot Noir with stunning views of vineyards and mountains.
So you can go from scaling a mountain to sipping wine in like an hour?
Pretty much.
Oh,
That's the beauty of Queenstown, thrills and tranquility all rolled into one.
I'm loving it. Okay, what about Milford Sound? Travelerholics called it an absolute must-see, and the photos I've seen are just unreal.
Well, Milford Sound is truly something else. Imagine towering cliffs, cascading waterfalls, and incredibly diverse marine life. It's a fjord carved by glaciers over millions of years, so the scale is just immense.
I bet. And they recommend taking a boat cruise, right?
Absolutely. Being on the water gives you the best perspective to appreciate the sheer scale of those cliffs. Plus, you'll likely spot seals, dolphins, maybe even penguins.
Oh my gosh, stop. I'm already booking my flight.
And here's a little insider tip. If you have the time, spend a night in Milford Sound. The crowds thin out in the evening, and you're left with this incredible sense of peace and solitude. Waking up to the mist rising from the fjord, pure magic.
Okay, that's it. I'm sold. Milford Sound, overnight stay. It's happening.
Good choice. Now, last but not least, we have Mount Cook, New Zealand's highest peak. This is the place for serious adventurers and nature lovers.
I'm sensing a theme here. New Zealand seems to be all about epic landscapes.
It definitely is. Mount Cook is part of the Southern Alps and offers some of the most challenging hiking trails in the country. But even if you're not an experienced hiker, there are shorter walks with incredible views. And for something truly special, try stargazing at night. The Aoraki Mackenzie International Dark Sky Reserve is one of the best spots in the world to see the Milky Way.
Wow, that's amazing. So we've gone from bustling cities and ancient cultures to rolling green hills and towering peaks. New Zealand really does have it all.
It's true. And what's so remarkable is how accessible it all is. You can experience such diverse landscapes and activities within a relatively short distance.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure on steroids.
Exactly. But with so many options, it can feel a bit overwhelming,
Mm?
even after listening to something like Travelerholics.
Right, where do you even begin?
Well, that's where we come in. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll help you connect the dots between these incredible destinations. We'll uncover some hidden gems, talk about logistics, and help you craft an itinerary that's tailored to your interests and travel style.
Sounds like a plan. I can't wait to get into the nitty-gritty of actually planning this trip. Okay, so we've talked about all these incredible destinations and experiences, but now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the budget.
Ah, yes, the all-important question of how to make those New Zealand dreams a reality.
Remember that figure Travelerholics mentioned for their 12-day tour? $2,080,000 per person.
It's a good starting point, but remember that covers flights, accommodation, some meals, and those guided tours.
Right, so it's packed with value, but we also talked about those amazing local meals and maybe some extra activities or souvenirs.
Exactly. To make this trip truly yours, you'll need to factor in some extra spending money for those little things that make a trip memorable.
Because let's be real, who can resist those unique crafts and local delicacies?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk strategy. One thing that impressed me about Travelerholics was their EMI option.
Oh, yeah, that's a game changer. It makes the trip more accessible by letting you spread out the cost over time.
Right. But even beyond that, there are plenty of ways to stretch your budget without sacrificing the quality of your experience.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me those money-saving tips.
Well, remember how Travelerholics kept emphasizing those local recommendations?
Yeah, for pretty much everything. Food, activities.
Exactly. And that's where you can save big time. Instead of those touristy restaurants, seek out local eateries, farmers markets.
Oh, I love farmers markets. You get such fresh produce and often at a fraction of the cost.
Exactly. And it's a great way to support local businesses and immerse yourself in the community.
Plus, you never know what hidden gems you might find.
And don't forget about all those free activities. New Zealand is an outdoor lover's paradise.
Right. Hiking, exploring national parks, strolling along those beautiful beaches.
All completely free.
Yeah.
And often those experiences create the most lasting memories.
I'm a huge fan of hiking, and I can just imagine those trails with breathtaking views.
It's the perfect way to disconnect from the digital world and reconnect with nature.
Absolutely. Now, another thing I was wondering about is transportation. Travelerholics includes transport between cities, but what about getting around once you're there?
Well, renting a car can actually be quite cost-effective, especially if you're traveling with others.
And it gives you the freedom to explore at your own pace.
Exactly. You can venture off the beaten path, discover hidden gems, and really create your own adventure.
I like that. So we've covered budgeting tips, money-saving strategies, and even talked about some splurge-worthy experiences.
It's all about finding that balance, right?
Exactly. And ultimately, planning your New Zealand adventure should be a fun and exciting process, not stressful.
Couldn't agree more. It's about embracing the anticipation and letting your imagination run wild.
So dive into those travel blogs, watch documentaries, and really start picturing yourself in those incredible landscapes.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. Imagine yourself standing at the foot of Mount Cook, breathing in that fresh mountain air.
Or picture yourself kayaking through Milford Sound, surrounded by those towering cliffs and cascading waterfalls.
Which New Zealand adventure calls to you the most?
I think we've given you plenty to dream about, and hopefully the tools and inspiration to turn those dreams into a reality.
Remember, the world is waiting to be explored, and New Zealand is an absolute treasure trove of unforgettable experiences.
So go ahead, embrace the planning process, book that flight, and get ready for an adventure of a lifetime.
Happy travels.